Thank you so much for inviting me for such a wonderful program, summer course regarding Southeast Asia, the social transformation in Southeast Asia. And this is also my honor to be here this year, the second time. And with the focus also one of my study recording performance evaluation of bilateral economic cooperation between Taiwan and the partner countries under the new Southbound policy, past, present, and future. So my targeting is focusing on the Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, and India. These eight countries are the target countries under the Taiwan New Southbound policy. So thank you so much for introduction. So can I share my screen now? Wait, let me share my screen. So can you see the screen now?
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Okay, thank you so much. So as an introduction, I and Ita have taught in National Chengchi University Department of Southeast Asian Languages and Cultures for 2 years, and also one of my best colleague in NCCU. So it's very honored to be one more time in this summer course, and my focus will be in both Southeast Asia, Taiwan and Southeast Asia itself, and directly focus on economic collaboration between Taiwan and its main partnership. So before I go into my case study that focus on economic collaboration, so I would like to review about this policy. So first, the target nation. The target nation is 18 countries. So 18 countries including 10 countries in Southeast Asia, and plus 6 countries in South Asia, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan, and together with Australia and New Zealand. So the area including Southeast Asia is the heart, expanding to the south and to ocean countries. So I review about this policy. Why you have called New Southbound policy? Because it's called new policy, but before that, in the 1990s and 2000s, we have previous policy, but they don't call a new South policy. They call Go South policy. So the term meaning Go South policy, it means one way, Taiwan going to Southeast Asia. Okay, so the first time in 1994 to 1996. So the purpose at that time, because Taiwan is transformed from developing country to industrialized economies in 1980s to 1990s. So 1990s, Taiwan started to invest more it dated in the 1990s in China. However, at that time in the 1990s, 95% of Taiwan investment to outside of Taiwan are mainly in China. And they realized that this is the only way to reduce the economic reliance on China that goes south. So the Go South policy in the 1990s under the previous Lee Teng-hui administration, it just mainly focused on the trading and economic purpose to reduce the reliance on China. And the second times in the 1997 to 1999, because in 1997 it had financial crisis in Southeast Asia. It started in Thailand and contained to the whole Southeast Asia, and Taiwan also affected by this. So to minimum the risk. So the purpose of this is to minimum risk that cannot focus on one single country. They want to expand to more countries that goes South policy. It tries to invest in different places and also building Southeast Asia as the opportunities for Taiwanese manufacturing hubs. So, and the next in the early of 2000s, however, this period, the mainly of Taiwan investment out of Taiwan was still mainly in China. At that time, still more than 80% of Taiwan investment still came directly to China. So to continue to follow the previous administration during the Chen Shui-bian administration in the 2000s, it continued to emphasize on the Go South policy, and also the same way to reduce reliance on China, and also to reduce the political risk with China as well. So, and the next is now current, we call new Southbound policy. So under Tsai Ing-wen administration, the first female a former NCCU professor is also our university professor. And this time we call new Southbound policy. So let me say that the differences between the under previous policy and under this policy. So the Tsai Ing-wen is started in 2016 at DDP. We have KMT and DDP. So, and this current president also DDP. So it's the continuation of the Taiwan Southbound policy that continue emphasis on this 18 countries. So let us see the differences between the previous policy and under this policy. So for the scope for the ASEAN 10 in the 1990s and the 2000s, that are focused on 10 countries in ASEAN. And for this policy, ASEAN is still at the hub, at the core and the center of this target policy. However, it's expanded, have expanded to 6 South Asian countries, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and Pakistan, and also 2 countries in Oceanic countries, Australia and New Zealand. So the direction in the Go South policy, the purpose is focusing on viewing as opportunities for the business, for the investment. And only Go South is meant only focus on the one side from Taiwan to Southeast Asia. And under this policy, it's just not only focused on investment, it's also focused on the tourism. And it's emphasis on two-way. Two-way is mean not just only the investment from Taiwan to 18 countries towards South. It's also focused on how these 18 countries from ASEAN, from Australia, New Zealand, and from South Asia also have invested in Taiwan, and also encourage the investment. It's the case that in the future, in the past, it's very difficult for Southeast Asian country to get a visa, came to Taiwan for tourists. And also in the past, it's very few Southeast Asian students in Taiwan. And also now we also encourage more Taiwanese students visiting ASEAN and South Asian countries for the summer internship. So this year I just took 7 of my students in my program to Vietnam for their summer internship. And this summer internship is subsidized by the Taiwan MOE. this is a part of this South policy. So the target of the Go South policy that Taiwan observe ASEAN countries as the chief overseas manufacturing hubs. However, in this policy, that the view ASEAN and South Asia as the extension of the Taiwan internal demand. Okay, so about the concept. So first, the Taiwan would like to expand and foster the regional prosperity and development. The prosperity and development between Taiwan and outside of Taiwan, from East Asia, look forward to Southeast Asia, to South Asia, and to oceanic countries. And this policy is called New Southbound policy, is called NSP. It seeks to expand the cooperation on the basics of reciprocity in the area of economics and trade collaboration. So this is the emphasis on two-way. Two-way is meant in the past, in the 1990s and 2000s. It's focused on the single way that Taiwan invested in Southeast Asia. But under this policy, its emphasis also that Taiwan invest in Southeast Asia and also welcome the Southeast Asia country invest in Taiwan and increasing the trade collaboration as well. And the third, that people-to-people exchange. So I just said, for example, that every year the government will subsidize millions entities. For like this year, we got about 1 million entity, or a group of 7 students and teachers. We go to Vietnam for the internship. So the people to exchange, including the internship for Taiwanese students in Southeast Asia, and also will subsidize more scholarship for ASEAN and South Asian countries, go to Taiwan and study. And also subsidy for those who have been in Taiwan. And the fourth is the resource sharing and connectivities. So the sharing here is meant to share experience, to share the soft power. So later we will see that what is Taiwan, the soft power showcase meaning. Okay, so this is policy that including 4 main items. So the first is economic and the trade collaboration that has been developed in the 1990s and to today. And the next, that are resource sharing. So resource sharing including the participation of East Asian global networking. Because for economics perspective, they consider Southeast Asia is a part of East Asia economies. And for talent exchange that increasing more Southeast Asian talent people who have to work in Taiwan, and also encourage more Taiwanese people to work in Southeast Asia, and also training the Southeast Asian student in Taiwan and send and go back to serve at their host countries to work for Taiwanese companies. And the bigger frame is for regional connectivities that create a network go south between Taiwan and the south countries. So in tip, why need to have this policy from the Taiwan administration? So to strengthen the Taiwan in Indo-Pacific regions, because Taiwan have so far is a political ideologies different with Beijing, because they have difficulty one China policy, and as we know, most of all the Southeast Asian countries only recognize one China policy, and Taiwan is just as a part of China. So this is we have For this policy, we have many companies have invested in Southeast Asia and nation over the decades, following the call of the government. And many people have come to Taiwan via job opportunities or also the marriage. So the concept of new Southbound policy, so for rapid economic growth that create more opportunities for economic collaboration and the trading activities, and also to increase the geopolitical significance of Southeast Asia, the connectivities between Taiwan go to Indo-Pacific countries. So the next, that will focus on the basics of reciprocity between the areas of economic, trade collaboration, people-to-people exchange, resource sharing, connectivity, and also to showcase Taiwan's soft power at this policy. So for the short terms, that expand two-way trade relations and economics have been developed for many decades, since the 1990s until today. Investment have been increasing over a decade. Tourism also increasing. More tourists from Southeast Asia in Taiwan and more Taiwanese in Southeast Asia. So for example, like I remember Indonesia now also have extended the visa for Taiwanese as well. And the cultures, because we have more Southeast Asian in Taiwan. So this is also increasing the awareness of Southeast Asia itself culture in Taiwan. And the talent that exchange train the Southeast Asian student in Taiwan and also send more Taiwanese students to Southeast Asia. And the second, encourage industry to adopt the NSP in planning for the next move. So, so far now, still more than 70% of Taiwan investment are still remain in China. But however, since this policy, slowly, gradually, more Taiwanese company relocated their manufacturing hub to Southeast Asia. And the number three is to cultivate more people with the skill needed to support for this policy, because considering this is important for because when you have more Taiwanese company in Southeast Asia, they need more skilled labor that from Southeast Asia who work in their own host countries. So the implementations to involve in this policy, we have Department of Politics, Economics, Cultures, Humanities, and yeah, we have Ministries of Economies, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministries of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministries of Transportation, and Ministries of Technologies. So why we have Ministries of Health system? Because Taiwan is, for many consecutive years, is ranked as the #1 countries in the world with the healthcare system. And this is a part of soft power, Taiwan soft power would like to show to the Southeast Asia countries. And the Ministry of Education also try to support it in subsidize more students, Taiwanese students go to Southeast Asia, and also subsidize and offer more scholarship for Southeast Asia students in Taiwan. So the transportation also support that, because the case that, for example, that one province in Vietnam also adopt the model of Taichung to build the industrial area in Vietnam. So this Ministries of Transportation also engaging in this policy. So the Ministry of Technologies, because Taiwan had became industrialized economies in the 1990s. So Taiwan is very famous about the semiconductors. So the semiconductors also, it is the soft power of Taiwan showcase. So for the objectives, for the market, that providing more education opportunities to the new Southbound policy nation, appreciating the cultures of Southeast Asian nations, And the highlights try to increase the bilateral relations with the South countries, and the platform education resource exchange, talent development, and strategies. So for the quantitative views, we have better education to meet the demands of companies in attempt to expand into the South nations. So before, Taiwan invested in Southeast Asia mainly on textile and garment industry, on traditional industry. However, today, it's not just only the traditional industry. So we have more like Weichong is the electronics industry. We have TSM, we have Foxconn is focused on the smartphone. And also TSMC ever investigated about how to relocate its production plant in Malaysia. So to meet the demand of the companies, so this is very important that the education, the MOE need to support to train more Southeast Asian students in Taiwan in order to support the Taiwanese companies in expand in the South countries. And the next, that nurtures the children of new immigrants to deepen the relationship with Southeast Asia. So far now in Taiwan, there have about more than 300,000 children born by Southeast Asian spouse. So they have the mission. The mission is the connectivity between Taiwan and Southeast Asia, and to promote the globalization of higher education by building international linkage. So this is a mission not just only for Taiwan, for all the countries in the world that try to increase their higher ranking by attract more international students. And to assist students of the South countries to work locally after graduation. So I ever worked for Chinese company in Vietnam because I also went to Taiwan and did a Taiwan scholarship. And after I finished my study, the company will also encourage me to go back and work locally. So for the results, by 2020, the number of students from ASEAN and South Asia with a growth rate up to nearly 55% and reaching amount of 59,000 students. And subsidizing 4,000 students from Taiwan from their education, internship, vocational trainings, volunteer activities in ASEAN. So for example, the student not just only go there for internship, the government also subsidize many students who want to study Indonesian in Indonesia. They want to study Vietnamese in Vietnam and Thai in Thailand. So this is under this target, this policy target. So we can see that the color of Southeast Asia in Taiwan throughout migrant workers. So we see that we have working for the factories. We have 228,000 of Vietnamese who are working in the factories. It's account for 45%. And the second one is Indonesia. We have 17%, that about more than 84,000 who are working in the industry. And the third, it account for 25% from Philippines, about 226,000. And the next is from Thailand. The migrant workers is about more than 66,000, account for 13%. So the majorities of the migrant workers come from Vietnam and from Indonesia, with more than 256,000 from Vietnam and more than 250,000 migrant workers from Indonesia. And besides of working in the factories, we have so a large amount of Indonesian working in the hospital, working in to support for the elder. So it's more than 165,000, and it's account for 75%. So the working for the factory is more Vietnamese, and working for the social work as more from Indonesia. And we can see another color of Southeast Asia is from the intermarriage between Taiwanese and Southeast Asian spouse. So when you think about the Southeast Asian spouses in Taiwan, its majority is from Vietnam. So if we consider Southeast Asia, so it's majority from Vietnam. That's Vietnam's account for 19%. So totally until the end of 2002, we have a amount of more than 112,000 intermarriage between Vietnamese and Taiwanese, which means we have more than 100,000 of family that one of their spouse are from Vietnam. So the second is from Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Cambodia, from Japan, and from Korea. And of course, if you consider from mainland China, Hong Kong, Macau, and the other is a part of the Chinese family. Okay, so for the F1 children student in Taiwan school, parents by countries. So of course, because it's have the majority of international marriage, beside the mainland China, mainly from Vietnam. So the children is 35.6%, more than 100,000 children are born by Vietnamese spouse, have one part of their parents from Vietnam. It's account for 35.6%. And the second, so you can see that the number of Vietnamese, the number of mainland spouse is more than Vietnamese a lot, but however, the children of the Vietnamese mother is almost close to the Chinese mother. And from Southeast Asia, the second one from Indonesia, but however, from Indonesia, mainly from Chinese Indonesian, not from Australian Indonesia. There are few, but mainly the intermarriage between Indonesian and the Taiwanese are mainly from Chinese Indonesian. So we are totally have about 300,000 the second generation in Taiwan term called second generation of in Taiwan now. So to do that, and you know, in Taiwan, the total population of Taiwan only 23 million, the population. So the total of F1 immigration only 300,000. So it's about like how many percent? 3%? Yeah, 3 or 6%. Okay, 6%. It's about 6%. So this is a very, very important because Taiwan now is witness the declining of birth, and the population is going down, and the number of the F1 immigrants is very important and a significant contribution to the Taiwan society to the next decades. So in practice, so almost 200 children of immigration register in primary and secondary school. So in Taiwan, since 2018, the language from Southeast Asia is become compulsory language in elementary school level. So it means if your parents is from Indonesia, so your compulsory language at elementary school must be Indonesian. And from middle school and junior high school, this is elective course. So the government is subsidies for own language lesson for the children in compulsory level, and also from for different language centers. And they offer the scholarship if you would like to go to Vietnam, or you would like to go to Indonesia, or you would like to go to Thailand to take the language course, they probably will submit, they probably will subsidize a student to study. For example, one case of my student, in this year, she got subsidies of about 23,000 NTD. It's about like 800 USD for their one month of the language summer course in Ho Chi Minh City. And for priority entrance, so they have different ways to get into the university. For example, we have a special talent exam entrance. For example, like in my department, so every year we have 1 or 2 quotas. And the 2 quotas, if the student have diversity of Southeast Asia countries, they will have more priorities to get into the university. So this is a priority entrance for the F1 generation. So to the foreign student in Taiwan in 2019, so we have the statistic that from Southeast Asia, from South Asia, we mainly and from Australia and New Zealand is account for 43.4%. This is the data in 2019. And after 2019, we have COVID. So the data during this COVID is not it's not clearly. So far I still remain about this data. But in 2022, not yet, because 2022 is still the opening of Taiwan for international students. It started from 2023. The number is not clear yet, but for next year, if I still offer the course, I probably will have the updated data about the foreign student in Taiwan in 2023. But for Vietnam so far now, in 2019, we have only 14,000 of Vietnamese students in Taiwan. But this year, the number of Vietnamese students in Taiwan only reached 30,000. So from 2019, before COVID, and 2023, after COVID, it's increasing from 14,000 to 30,000 students of Vietnamese students in Taiwan. So, and 25% from China, and the rest from the other countries. So for the scholarship, so also because in the between we have the COVID, so I don't have the data. So for the scholarship, for Southeast Asia country, they have different category of scholarship. We have the MOE scholarship, we have the company scholarship, and we also have a universal scholarship. So MOE scholarship is the most significant importance for the student, and they are offered by the countries. So for 2016, the first year of this policy is offered for about 100 scholarships for Malaysia, Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, India. So the total in 2016, the first year of this Go South Southbound policy, they only offer 100 quotas. And in 2020, it increasing from 100 to 230 quotas. And the mainly of the country receive this scholarship is from Vietnam, and the second one to India, and to Indonesia, and to Malaysia. So the scholarship offer more to Vietnam, to India, and to Indonesia. So we see that we look back the foreign student in 2021, because 2021 is a COVID year. So maybe I skip this number. You will see that next year we have a 2023. So the target that to enhance the global connectivities, that improve global ranking, to compete with higher education in China, and to attract more international students, to support for Taiwanese company in Southeast Asia, and to constructing the connectivity to the South nations countries. So for the economics purpose, that promoting industrial upgrades. So in the 1990s and 2000s, the mainly of Taiwanese businessmen in Southeast Asia are mainly focused on the traditional industry, such as garment and textile industry. But today, Taiwan invests in Southeast Asia, not just only. is also more electronics industry. So this Southbound policy is the core of the movement that more Taiwanese companies plan to relocate from China to Southeast Asia in the high-tech industry. So the next, improve the global competitiveness and reduce the the reliance on China. So talk about Taiwan education. Taiwan is very proud to offer very affordable cost. So we do the comparison. If the students study, the tuition they pay in Taiwan for the public university is about 1,800 US dollars. But to Japan is 5 times more, and to UK is about 13 times more. And to South Korea, it's also more expensive. It's rents from 1,600 to 12,000. So Taiwan is offer very quality education and with very affordable cost. And also Taiwan also offer different kind of like vocational school, and the vocational school are integrated with the industry. So in Taiwan, many private university, they have very connected, integrated with the industry. So the student, they come to Taiwan to study. So they half of the times in the school, and half the time they have internship at the companies. So for the Taiwan soft power about technology and industry, Taiwan in the 1980s and 1990s has already developed many industrial parks, and they have very good infrastructures, good industrial park that with the high tech is focused in the in whole the countries from Hsinchu, Taichung, and Kaohsiung. They have industrial cluster. In the north, focus on Hsinchu, and in the middle, focus on Taichung, and the south, focus on Tainan and from Kaohsiung. So about the outcomes, that it increasing, and I have accumulated amount that the Taiwan have invest in the South countries, mainly in Southeast Asia, with a total amount of USD about 42 million USD. And the investment from Southeast Asia, after they encourage the investment from Southeast Asia to Taiwan, is value about USD 18 billion. Yeah. So like in the Go South policy, there was no Southeast Asia company listed in the stock market, and since 2016 have more than 20 companies from those countries have listed in Taipei stock market. And since 1952, we have more than 10,000 Taiwanese companies that the big international corporation have invested in South countries and offer 4 million jobs so far since the 1950s. So for the current program, that based on the countries to develop the connectivities. For example, the countries like with a higher population, like Vietnam and Indonesia, beside the textile, we are focused also for auto parks, electronics, smartphone. And for the country like Philippines, they have more target on the shipbuilding industry. For example, like Malaysia, we are focused mainly on auto parks. To Thailand also, because Thailand now have aging population. So for the Cambodia and for from Cambodia and Myanmar, they're focused on textile and garment industry. So the investigator will invest. They will have invested how to find a suitable industry, suitable for the regions, and for the talent development, that design courses and a curriculum that fit the industrial needs. provide more vocational trainings and a career development. For example, like the student will have the program that they can study and they can do internship at the same times, and also increase the number of scholarships that offer to the student from the partner countries. So I don't have an exact number, but for example, like Vietnamese student, that we are the majority of students who are studying master and PhD in Taiwan, they got a scholarship. Either they get from MOE or from companies or get from the university scholarship. They have full scholarship or they have partially scholarship. Yeah, the time is limited, so I would like to go into empirical study, and this empirical study is one of my research publication. So this is the data from Taiwan Ministry of Economic Affairs Statistics. So you can see like this is the data from 1960s to 2019, before the COVID. So we have the purple inward FDI, foreign direct investment. This is the inward foreign direct investment. And the orange color is outward FDI that Taiwan invests in other countries. So you can see the tendency. When Taiwan became industrialized economies in the late 1980s, and Taiwan have more investment out of Taiwan, and this number is increasing. And 2019 is decreasing because I think this 2019 is about the trading war between US and China. So they have decreasing of the investment in this 2019. So this is a comparison that the Taiwan investment to China and to the South countries. The South country mean including South Asian and Southeast Asia countries. So we have the ASEAN, the dark blue color. We have India, the red color. We have Australia is green. We have New Zealand, and we have China. So you can see that in the 1991 until the late 2010, the mainly of Taiwan investment are mainly focused on China. Even today, they still remain at the destination of Taiwan investment, but the number of the projects, the number of the amount of investment is declining since 2016. So since 2016, they have increasing the investment from Taiwan to Southeast Asia, and then declining of Taiwan investment to China. It's a big drop, significant drop after 2016. So the proportions of the investment by the countries from 1991 to 2020. So over this, Taiwan invests in Singapore 35%. The second one to Vietnam. The third to Thailand. The fourth to Australia and Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, and India. So many of my students will ask the questions, what Taiwan invests in Singapore and why Singapore is the main destination of Go South policy and Southbound policy, the new South policy. So because Singapore is the only country have a more official agreement with Taiwan regarding trading and investment. So many Taiwanese companies will first arrive in Singapore, and from Singapore distribute the investment to the other Southeast Asia countries. So the number is counted by the first investment. However, the main investment for the manufacturing are distributed from Taiwan to Singapore first, and from Singapore to the other Southeast Asia countries. So we can see that this is the pictures, the illustration, the between the inwards and the outwards by the countries. So the Singapore, mainly the red one is the Taiwan invest in New Southbound countries, and the inward is mean the South, mainly Southeast Asia invest in Taiwan. So the significant tendencies that the red is much more than the blue, because Taiwan invested in Southeast Asia more, the number is much more than the number of Southeast Asia invest in Taiwan. So you can see this model. So I propose a model, the two-way collaboration. Two-way collaboration is mean in and out need to be balanced. So you can see that here, Australia is a successful country. If I propose this model, it means inward and outward. Because we can see the red and the blue is close to each other. So the number of blue is close to the number of red. But however, the countries like Vietnam, by size, that Vietnam received the large number of Taiwan investment. However, a very small amount of Vietnam companies in Taiwan. So for me, I consider this is not the successful collaboration if we are focused on the two-way, regardless the size. So for example, like Malaysia, so I consider also of the successful two-way collaboration because the inward and outward are in the equal way. And Singapore still remain that Taiwan invest in Singapore more than the Singapore invest in Taiwan. And about the case of Indonesia, so Indonesia is not considered as a successful model because more Taiwanese invest in Indonesia, and it's also just a small amount of Indonesian company invest in Taiwan. And regarding the size, it's considered is also small as well. So it's smaller than Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, of course, Malaysia, of course, Singapore, of course. So the model, the collaboration two-way that we consider regarding the size, and the two-way collaboration that Indonesia is still need to have some room to discuss about the future collaboration between Taiwan and Indonesia. So the most successful case I propose here are Malaysia and Australia, that the emphasis on two-way, inward and outward between the two countries. So the purpose that it aims to evaluate the performance of bilateral collaboration, the two-way between Taiwan and its economics partner countries, in order to have a better understanding of coherence of reciprocal relations in the past, present, and the future. So the data I got that from 1990 to 2019. So I got the data from the Department of Statistics for 30 years. And I'm using the model of forecasting to forecast for the next 5 years, 2020 to 2025. And this year is 2024. So when I conducted this data and I analysis data in 2020, so when I did this data in 2020 and I collected data from the past 30 years and I predict for the next 5 years. So the target countries, I try to get all the countries in Southeast Asia, in South Asia, from East Australia and from New Zealand. However, because the main investment of Taiwan are mainly with Singapore, with Indonesia, with Thailand, with Vietnam, with Australia, with Malaysia and India. So I was unable to collect the data, the trading between Taiwan and Myanmar. Okay, so I have only 5 minutes. I only have 5 minutes more. Okay, I will finish very soon. So the target countries I focus on the biggest, the majority partnership between Taiwan and their major memberships. Okay, so final findings. So the result found that the efficiency 7 out of 8 decision-making units. So I call each of collaboration between Taiwan and Indonesia is 1 decision-making unit. Between 2 countries, Taiwan and Thailand is the number 2. Between Taiwan and Australia and number 3, for example, like a ranking like that. So the result fell out by a model that 7 out of 8 DMU improve in the coming years. Okay, so with a stable performance in both scale. Scale here means the number of the economic exchange, the trading exchange between Taiwan and this target membership. And it's considered Singapore as the most successful economic partner because Singapore received 35% of Taiwan investment, and Singapore also invested a lot in Taiwan as well. So Singapore considered as the most successful partner and followed by Malaysia. So by doing this, we have 7 out of 8 TNUs, 8 countries improve in the coming years. So I consider that this policy remains an important foreign policy in supporting Taiwan bilateral trade and outward foreign direct investment. So for the contribution, this study is not only contribute much more than previous literatures by evaluating interrelationship between the size of investment of trading and also the efficiency of a two-way economies. And this is also importance that will provide advice for the policymaker in creating the better mechanism that facilitate the policy development.